You're listening to Game On with Jackson Stuart.
Life is good, but you, player, deserve something great. Follow Game On with Jackson Stuart on social media and get the latest advice, tips, and life hacks. Follow at Game On with Jack on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Lastly, hook yourself up with news you can use, interviews, posts, articles, and more on men's lifestyle, health, and success. See you at www.gameonwithjack.blog. Life's a game. Time to play. Time to win.
Lo bueno que era estar a solas, sin que me juzguen, con mis amigas cantando rolas. Que me aprecien, pero no tanto, quiero estar sola. Estar soltera, no disponible y siendo moda. Yo te quiero, pero déjame. No me amas, eso se te ve. Y si sigues, pues agárrate. Que esta chica no la vuelve.
Good people, sexy people, welcome to another edition of Game On with Jackson Stuart, the podcast where rookies enter and players leave. Tonight, another great episode. I think they're all great, but we're discussing the exploitation equation. 6 signs you're being used at work. Now, this is a series that I'm doing. It's going to be a couple episodes at least, talking about if you are being used, right? So you could be getting used at work. You could be getting used in your relationships. You could be getting used by your family, family and friends, work, and then like your intimate relationships you're dating. So we're going to cover that over several podcasts. It's something that I think a lot of guys, especially guys that are good guys, we're not talking about nice guys, talking about good guys, have to worry about, because you're out there taking care of people, helping people. The first person to say yes, the first person to jump into a situation. You guys are players. You guys know how to handle stuff. You're tough. You're hardcore. But sometimes you can get taken advantage of, right? Sometimes people can, don't know when to stop asking. And the next thing you know, boom, you are suffering the exploitation equation. So that's why I wanted to talk about this topic. First up, though, I want to make sure you guys are following Game on social media. You can hit me up on YouTube at Game On with Jack, the blog gameonwithjack.blog, Twitter, same handle, Instagram, same, and Facebook page is Game On with Jackson. You guys have been seriously crushing the YouTube, and I really appreciate all the new listeners that have jumped on in the last 30 days. So please keep it up. Really do appreciate you guys and everything that you bring to the show, that you bring to all the social media, all the connections, and so on. So with that having been said, we're talking about exploitation equation. Are you being used? And here's 6 signs that you're being used at work. Gonna work into also ways that you can counter this. We're just not talking about how you are being used, but what you can do about it. So I went to talk and I stopped real quick. Navigating the corporate world in terms of being used can be challenging. And sometimes we find ourselves in situations where our efforts and our talents are being exploited. You're good at communicating. You're good at writing. You're good at planning or managing or organizing. And all of a sudden, people are tapping into these resources, but it's not directly in your department or in your job description, but they know that you work well with people. You have, the communal good in mindset. And so, hey, can you do this? Hey, we could use your help on this. We could use your eyes on this. Next thing you know, like, shit, you are in it and you're helping out. And sometimes, and I'll hit this as we go through, you get the snow job. I knew a guy once told me, never snow a snowman, never bullshit a bullshitter. But people are like, oh man, we only come to you because you're the best. We only come to you because you're so great. And that's ear service or lip service, however you want to phrase it. But it's blowing smoke. It's feeding me soup. It's bullshit. You just think a couple of cheesy words and, you're going to stroke my ego. And I'm going to just suddenly do it without any regard for what you bring to the table. What am I getting out of this? And it's a great quote that I don't know the movie. It's a Ray Liotta film with Jason Statham. When Jason Statham had a full head of hair, it's wild to see him like that. But Ray Liotta's talking to him. And if you guys know the movie title, put in the comments on YouTube. Let me know which one it is. But Ray Liotta tells him, like, the best, most important, most empowering question that anybody can ask in a situation is, what's in it for me? It's a tricky question to ask, especially in corporate world, especially in your relationships, because it sounds very like selfish, egotistical, self-centered. But I mean, really, what's in it for you? And there's no easy way, or I should say there's no common way to constantly ask that question, right? There's a way to massage it given the environment, given your situation, to say, hey, this is great, I'm willing to do it, but like, what am I getting out of this? And it's tough. It's not an easy question to ask without feeling at least like you're coming off as kind of an asshole or kind of like self-serving. But like I said before, navigating corporate world is challenging, and you can find yourself being exploited. Recognizing these signs early on can help you take control, set boundaries, and ensure that you're not being devalued, but instead you're being valued and respected in your workplace. All right, so let's get into this. Number one way that you are being exploited: unrecognized contributions. So the first sign that you're being used at work is when your contributions, your efforts, what you bring to the table are going unrecognized. Think about it. Have you ever completed a major project or come up with a great game-changing idea only to see someone else take the credit? Another department, your boss, coworker, somebody on your team, whoever, they get the credit and you get jack shit. This can be incredibly frustrating and demoralizing because, you know, it's not the way you operate, right? It's not the way you handle business. You're a team player. You got a team mindset. And here they are basically just stealing what you brought, what you do. So that's the first sign. And that blows. So what to look for? Your ideas are presented by others as their own. You're consistently left out of meetings or discussions where your work is being showcased. Your name is omitted from reports or presentations that you significantly contributed to. So what do? What's the takeaway? All right. If you find yourself in this situation, it's essential to start documenting your contributions. Keep detailed records of your work and communicate your achievements to your superiors regularly. This not only helps you build a case for recognition, but also prepares you for performance reviews and potential promotions. Guys, there's nothing wrong with letting people know that you do the shit. And you can do it in a way that doesn't look like, oh, well, I did this, but Bob didn't do it. Or no, say, hey, guys, I just want to let you know if you look for me in my office and I'm not there, I'm down, and HR helped me with this presentation that they really want to get, shined up and polished up for the rest of the division or district, whatever. So what you're telling people is you're notifying them, if you can't find me in my old spot, in my office, doing my old thing, I'm still working, but I'm helping out XYZ. Now, what that does is, one, let them know that you are working on this big project. You are associated with it. So, you do this enough time and you can't be left out in the cold when it comes, when it comes time to recognize contributions from others on your team who are trying to take all the limelight. Also, it shows the company or the business or what have you that you are now taking on additional responsibilities, not shirking your own, but you're doing some other stuff, and that's cool. All right. So that's a nice, smooth way to handle that. Number two, second way that you are being that you're being taken advantage of at work, being exploited. I'm not getting tongue-tied this episode on something. Another clear sign of being used is an excessive workload without appropriate compensation. They working you, man. They working you, but what are you getting? Right? So you're constantly asked to take on more tasks than your peers, than the rest of your team, yet your paychecks don't reflect your extra efforts. They getting the milk, but they ain't feeding the cow. I love that one. But yeah, no, for real. You're busting your ass and you got nothing to show for it. And I'm sorry, all the thank yous or you're great or attaboy or way to go sport, that don't spend. That don't change nothing. You know, if you were a 16-year-old kid doing this, the little ego stroke might make you grow an inch tall, but you ain't a kid. You're a grown man. You're a player. And look, you're not trying to get paid extra for every little thing you do, especially from the get-go. But after a while, the get-go gets gone. And this is what they keep expecting you to do. So what are they doing to compensate for what you do? All right, so what to look for? You're regularly working late nights and weekends without additional pay. Your workload is significantly heavier than that of your colleagues, and promises of raises or promotions are repeatedly delayed or ignored. What's the takeaway? Jackson, what do I do? Well, it's crucial to have open and honest conversations with your manager about your workload and compensation. If you're taking on extra responsibilities, you deserve to be fairly compensated. Don't be afraid to negotiate and stand up for what you're worth. You might have to say, look, guys, I'm putting in an extra like 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours a night working on this. I don't mind doing it, but that's time I'm away from my family. That's time I'm away from my friends. It'd be different if I was getting paid for it. I mean, you got to come up front. You got to talk about it. If they're offended by it, then they were trying to exploit you. If they're on the up and up and they're legit, they're going to say, you know what, Juan, hell yeah, you've been busting your ass on this presentation for another department, or Sarah, you've been, helping out with the layout plans for that new building, even though you work in personnel, whatever. We see you. We see what you're doing. Yeah, let's talk about compensation. But if they're like, oh my goodness, we just thought you were helping out the team. If somebody says we just thought you were helping, they're exploiting you. Think of it this way. We've all had this. We've all been this. The buddy with the truck, you got to move. Or you're the buddy with the truck and a buddy needs help moving. Give you a Saturday? No problem. Hell yeah, I got you. But it's like an uncommon but commonly known rule about if somebody helps you move, you feed them. Right? If somebody helps you paint, you feed them. If I'm showing up with a truck to help you move furniture to your new place better have some pizza, some wings, and some beer. Like, it's a no-brainer. It's a rule. And okay, maybe the move takes 2 weekends. All right, sure. Maybe the first weekend, you just give me lunch. Second weekend, it's more of a bigger layout, pizza, wings, whatever. We're just going to hang out for the rest of the night. But you start calling me every weekend and there's no compensation? What the fuck? Like, nobody's going to do that. So, once again, excessive workload without compensation. Or maybe, look, if it's something like, hey, real quick, can you eyeball this? Can you give us your input on this meeting? You give the input, you eyeball it, you do whatever. And they're like, cool, thanks, and that's it. Yeah, don't expect a raise for an extra 15 minutes or 30 minutes or even an hour for one day. That's a one-off. Most companies put that in your job description as duties as assigned. Don't trip over it. But if that becomes commonplace to the point where it's an expectation, now you got to have a conversation. Number 3, the third sign that you are being exploited at work in the exploitation equation, lack of professional growth opportunities. So professional growth is a vital aspect of a fulfilling career. And if your employer is not providing opportunities for you to learn and advance, it could be a sign that they're more interested in using you than helping you grow. So every company worth its salt, I think that's a saying from my mom. Every company worth its salt is going to have some opportunity for you to grow, for you to learn, for you to make more money. The best company is going to give you an opportunity to grow to a point that you leave them, knowing that it's a good chance that out of some type of loyalty, you will probably stay and use your newfound skills for their benefit as well as yours. But a good company should not be afraid to help you grow wings to fly. But if in this you have no access to training programs or educational resources, lack of career development discussions with your manager, being passed over for promotion without clear feedback or reasons, and they just keep working you extra, this is a sign that you're being exploited at work. Now, takeaway. What do? Seek out opportunities for growth both within and outside of your current role. A lot of companies don't think about it, but sometimes people are like, hey, do you guys do tuition assistance? I'm thinking about going back to school. I found this training program outside of the company, but would you be willing to pick up the cost of me attending this? And here's how it directly will benefit the company. So seek out your own opportunities, bring it back to them, see if they'll jump on board and help you out with it. Take advantage of online courses, workshops, and networking events. There's tons of free online courses. Jackson Stuart, Game On, we have one. Tons of free workshops, tons of networking events. So many of them now are virtual that you can attend them. But if your company won't help you shine, you got to go out there and shine on your own. If your current employer isn't supporting your growth, it might be time to consider other opportunities where your development is prioritized. Because here's the thing, if your company helps you grow, they realize that they need to give you something because you're giving them something. I mean, this isn't altruism. It's basically like seeding crops. Your company pays you not because they love you. They pay you because you provide a service that they want to continue to benefit from, so they pay you. And the more they pay you, the more those donuts in the break room are there, the more that your boss brings in lunch, the more that the company does tuition assistance or brings in training programs, the more they know they are fostering in you ties of loyalty. And they're going to reap the benefits of those ties of loyalty. Excuse me, if they don't see that, then they just see currently a workhorse. We can work this mule until he falls apart and move on to the next one. Speaking of next one, the fourth sign that you're being exploited at work, emotional manipulation. And you're going to see this across the board with work exploitation, family, and romantic exploitations, and being taken advantage of. Emotional manipulation. It's a much more insidious way that employers can use their employees. This involves making you feel guilty for taking time off, pressuring you to work beyond your capacity, or creating a sense of dependency on the job. What to look for? Feeling guilty or anxious about taking vacations or sick days. This is like it's instilled in you. This is how you feel. Being made to feel indispensable, with the implication that the company would suffer without you. Lastly, emotional appeals from your manager or colleagues to take on more work. Damn, you're going to see this across the board because this is one of the oldest tricks in the book. One, make you feel like you're the bad guy because you took time off. Two, if that doesn't work, they're going to try and make you feel like you're Superman and that they can't live without you. Now, that might be true. This project might die, or this project might rise and set on your what you bring to the table, but it's not fair if you have to bleed out everything. 3, yes, emotional appeals from your manager or colleagues to take on more work. Please, we need you. Please, we can't do this without you. This is all emotional manipulation. Especially if they see that you are a person who enjoys hearing that they do good work, enjoys helping people. They're going to work that shit. And here's the thing. It's insidious. It's wicked. They may even be doing it without knowing they're doing it. It may be reflexive for how they keep people, tug on the heartstrings, make you feel like you're superhuman or you're Superman just because they need to have you around to do this. For some people, it's just the way they do business. But for you, it shouldn't be the way that business gets done. So takeaways. How do you get past this emotional manipulation? Establish firm boundaries and communicate them clearly. It's essential to prioritize your mental health and your overall well-being. There's a great saying, if you die because of work, they will post your job description and your job opening faster than the obituary will get posted. Now, is that true? Maybe not. To people that you work with, you not being healthy, you being sick and to the extreme, you dropping dead would be devastating. However, to the company, it won't fucking care. And the company cannot care because the company is a soulless construct. But your coworkers, your manager, these people should care about you enough to say, hey, you look bad, go home. You look stressed out, take off a couple days. Like, they should really be able to see you as a human being, not just a resource, and want what's best for you. Lastly, remember a healthy work-life balance is crucial for long-term success and happiness. Number 5, the fifth sign that you're being exploited at work, inconsistent treatment. So inconsistent treatment compared to your colleagues can be another sign that you're being used. If you notice that others receive better treatment, more opportunities, or higher compensation for similar work, it's time to take a closer look. Now, take a closer look at yourself and the company, because let's face it, you can't be exploited without allowing it. That's some radical responsibility. I know. You're probably like, fuck you, Jack. I didn't want this. But yeah, you didn't want to be exploited, but some part of you enjoyed part of this dance. Maybe you liked the extra praise. Maybe you liked the accolades. Maybe you thought working with so-and-so on the team because they're sexy as all hell was worth it. That's great, but you've allowed it to continue, and now you don't know how to get off the exploitation train because the only way off seems like jumping at 80 miles an hour. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that you've allowed this to happen. Acknowledging that you've allowed it to happen, accepting it, now empowers you to do something about it. You're not a victim. You may have been victimized by your company using the shit out of you, but you're not a victim. So don't feel, let's not take like, woe is me and I can't do anything bullshit. You're a player. You listen to Game On with Jackson Stuart. You know what to do. Inconsistent treatment, what to look for. Colleagues receiving better projects or assignments. Noticeable differences in how you and your peers are treated by management. Look for, they get praise, they get parades, they get cakes brought in, and you get more work. Others being promoted or given raises despite similar performance levels. Y'all doing the same shit. They're getting promotions, they're getting days off, they're getting on-the-spot awards or raises, and you're getting more work. You're getting more folders or files sent to you or whatever. What's the takeaway from this? Because this one really sucks. Don't hesitate to have a candid discussion with your manager about these discrepancies. You can be straightforward, but still be respectful. You may look, I hate to even bring this up, but I'm feeling slighted on this project. I did 10 times as much work, and try and be as factual as possible. Like, look, Joe did 3 chapters of the report or 3 segments of the report. I did 15. Joe got 3 days off. I got more work to do. please help me understand this because it's bothering me. Stay calm. Be factual, but let your feelings be known. Just don't sit there and eat it and take it. I saw a great quote that said, if you suffer in silence, they'll kill you and say you liked it. All right. If you suffer in silence, if you suffer in pain, or if you suffer in silence, if you're silent in pain, they'll kill you and say you liked it. Oh, speak up. There's no nobility in suffering unnecessarily, quietly, just because you feel like you're going to ruffle some feathers. Some feathers need to be ruffled, especially if you're being taken advantage of. Ask for clear expectations and feedback on your performance. If the inconsistencies continue, it might be time to evaluate whether your current workplace is the right fit for you, or if this project is the right fit. Maybe you don't quit the whole company, but maybe like, you know what, guys, glad I can help out with this project. But, if they come back in and say, nah, I'm too busy. Yeah, the one project was enough. I can't handle the extra workload. Like, just don't do it. You don't have to go to war. You don't have to fight, but you got to do what's right for you. Lastly, our sixth sign that you're being taken advantage of at work, being the go-to for unwanted tasks. Yes, the shit nobody wants to, they bring it to you. You like Mikey. If any of you are old enough to remember that commercial with the little boy that, Mikey will eat it. They gave his ass a nasty cereal. That's you at work. If you're the person everyone turns to for the tasks that no one else wants to do, it's a sign you're being used. While teamwork is essential, there should be a fair distribution of both desirable and undesirable tasks. Everybody should get dessert. Everybody should get Brussels sprouts. I happen to like Brussels sprouts, but you guys know what I mean. What to look for. Regularly being assigned mental believe it or not, I take notes on this. I wrote down menial. I said mental. Regularly being assigned menial or tedious tasks that others avoid. Being the first point of contact for problems or emergencies, regardless of your role. Lastly, lack of appreciation or acknowledgement for taking on these tasks. It could be somebody's got to take notes at the meeting. Everybody hates taking notes. Nobody wants to be the secretary. It's not a gender thing. Just nobody wants to take notes and ask people, is this what you said? And then make copies and distribute them to everybody. Nobody wants that. But they want to give it to you. They said, hey, give it to that guy. If there's shit work, talking to a client maybe that's terrible or abrasive and nobody wants to do it. Everybody looks at you and slides you the phone and the number. Like, that's not fair. And here's what the thing is. Being exploited is basically being stuck in a loop of unfair treatment. Sometimes just because you're so good at it that they feel nobody else should get it. That's great. But hey, scratch my back. All right. I can handle the bad stuff, but what's the good stuff? Back to Ray Liotta again. God rest his soul. He was a great actor. What's in it for me? So what's the takeaway from the sixth sign that you're being exploited? Learn to say no. Politely, respectfully, but firmly decline tasks that are outside your scope or that should be shared among the team. Like, guys, no, I can't call this client alone, but if we get in a group call, I'll be part of that. Focus on your primary responsibilities and ensure that your efforts are aligned with your career goals. Here's the thing. You're being exploited when you say no and everybody goes into shock. People are just having fits. Like, babies are eating each other. Like, it's just chaos because so-and-so said no. What? Yeah, I said no. So, some practical tips to help out with the exploitation equation. Document your achievements. Keep a detailed record of your contributions, successes, and any recognition you receive. This will be invaluable during performance reviews and salary negotiation. Second, communicate effectively. Regularly update your manager on your progress and contributions. Don't wait for them to notice. Take the initiative to highlight your value. Also, when you communicate, let them know if the only time they talk to you is bring you a problem. This is a good tenet of communication, that we communicate constantly, regularly, I should say, with both positive and negative, and that we are treated like human beings, not just machines or utilities. 3, set boundaries. Clearly define your work hours and stick to them. Respect your personal time, and don't be afraid to push back against unreasonable demands. Seek mentorship. Find a mentor within or outside your organization who can provide guidance, support, and advice on navigating your career. Invest in yourself. Continuously seek opportunities for learning and development and advancement. The more skills and knowledge you acquire, the more leverage you have in your career. Lastly, be sure to network. Build and maintain a strong professional network. This can open doors to new opportunities and provide a strong support system when you need it. So look, guys, recognizing the signs that you're being used at work is the first step towards taking control of your career and ensuring that you're valued and respected. And don't blame yourself or drink too much from the well of guilt, because it happens to the best of us. Remember, your professional journey should be one of growth, fulfillment, right? And mutual respect. Don't settle for less. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Game On with Jackson Stuart. If you found this discussion helpful, please share it with your colleagues and friends. Stay tuned for the next podcast where we will talk about, are you being used by your family? Let's continue to build a community of players who are not just surviving, but thriving in their professional lives. All right, so stay tuned for more episodes filled with insights, advice, and tips to help you win the game. And until next time, take care, stay strong, keep pushing those boundaries, and don't let people take advantage of you. All right, guys, keep it sexy and game on.